Welcome to another episode of What If Moments for Moms. Thank you so much for joining me. I know you're so busy being a mom of all of the littles out there, so I just really appreciate you guys joining in our community. I could not be more excited for our guest today. You're gonna recognize him from our mental health moments. I have Dr. Brooks Gibbs here with me live in the studio, so I know that you all are gonna enjoy this episode so much. So go ahead and grab your cup of coffee or tea and take this moment just for you. Welcome to Moments for Moms. Thank you again so much for joining me. I am not going to waste any of our time today because I'm so excited for you all to meet in person our guest, Dr. Brooks. Thank you so much for being here with me.
What's up, Ashley? So proud of you. You're doing such great work.
Thank you. Thank you for partnering with me in this. I love your mental health moments. They're so good.
So I'm like a co-host.
You're a co-host. You have a page on the website.
Wow.
Kind of official.
Well, congratulations on the great show and all the moms that are getting encouraged. And you know, I don't get momnesia. I never did, but I know you know what that's like.
Yeah.
You know, women suffer in a way that dads will never completely understand. And so, on behalf of all the fathers in the world, thank you so much for all your sacrifice.
Yay! Oh man, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. But I also think, I think we were joking in the green room. I'm like, Charlie will come up in the middle of the night, and I told you, he's like, where's my Pluto? And I'm dead sleeping. And but Bobby's just somehow somewhere peaceful in dreamland.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I know that he carries so much weight. Do you know what I mean? He's our spiritual leader of the family. He's our primary provider. So I try and take that into consideration. We're doing all this stuff. I'm up most of the night, but man, he's got a lot too.
Yeah.
And so thank you to all of the dads.
Yes.
Mutual.
Providing and protecting the
Absolutely.
best we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Raise Them Strong, Parenting Resilient Kids.
Yeah, it's very important. Resilience is basically emotionally strong.
Yeah.
So not emotionally weak or volatile or vulnerable, and the ability to bounce back after a letdown. Someone breaks my toys. Do I freak out, or am I able to say, okay, I can rebuild it? You know, these are things that I would do with my little ones when they were little. Well, starting with the infant, I would blow on their face, and the little baby would go. You know how they do that? You know what I mean?
They don't know what to do.
And it's like, why would I torture him with my bad breath? It's because I wanted to disrupt stuff. I'd pinch his skin like this, and just try to get him to be disrupted. Because really, where we get in trouble, I don't care how old you are, whether you're a tiny tot or you're an older person, how do you deal when you don't get what you want?
Yeah.
Or how do you respond when you get what you don't want? It's two sides of the same coin. And all of life can be awesome or it could be awful based on your ability to adjust to harsh realities, disappointments, bummers.
Yeah.
And so to start passing the kid around, disrupting his day a little bit, keeping food and sleep and the circadian rhythm and the metabolism to, stick to a regular thing as sure as the noonday and the sunset, etc. There's still gaps in time when you could disrupt the change a little bit and then help them minimize the importance of that particular offense. Because what they'll do is they'll look at your face to see how hurt they are, right?
Oh, me.
Or
I do know.
Well, the teenagers are no different. When the teen comes to mom and says, I've been bullied.
Yeah.
And the mom says, what did he do to my baby? Or whatever. That kid's going to freak out.
Yeah.
So really, I think when it comes to emotional resilience or raising them strong, it's modeling, adjusting well to disappointments, and instructing a child to adjust well to disappointment.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think that as the mom, I have had to quickly learn that because Charlie is all boy, 100%. Everybody's like, he is so fast and he runs in these green boots and they're a little big and we have a gravel driveway. So you just, of course. So he's falling, he's skinning his legs and he's down there and he's looking exactly like you're saying. My husband's like, you're fine, get up, get up. And at first I'm like, he's cut and bleeding. And I'm freaking out, which is triggering him to freak out because he's looking to me first. Because he's little still, so he's primarily with me. But I've learned, watched what my husband does, and I'm like, well, he's fine with him. Like, he just gets up and starts running again. But with me, it's like, but it's my reaction.
Yeah.
Because I'm also freaking out because I'm like, you know, like exactly what you're saying about baby.
Right. So, I mean, what we want to cure our children of is the victim mindset.
Yeah.
And so, like, trauma happens to us.
Yeah.
We do get hurt. Sometimes crimes are committed against us. Sometimes people are offensive. But it's up to us how bad we feel victimized. And the key word is feel, you know. And most of the stuff that will happen to us in life is non-criminal. It's the exclusion, the name-calling, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we can learn to be unfazed. And it helps to have a mom who's in your corner and will cry with you when you cry and will rejoice when you rejoice. And it's good to have a dad who calls him to higher levels of strength. And, hey, be tough, kid. And to have those too, so he could lean. I think that's a beautiful balance. I feel bad for single moms sometimes, you know, because they got to, how do they play both parts?
I don't know how they do any of it.
I think they have to err on the side, if they have to err on the side of strength and not irrational compassion, which is kind of like empathy, you know, where you're bleeding when they're bleeding, you're hurting when they're hurting. It's like, no, you need to toughen them up and call them to greatness. So so you do get to be a little more of a comforter, and your husband is a confronter. You know,
it's a really nice way to put it.
And it creates a confrontation. And that's what Charlie gets to experience, a confrontation. That's a thing I just coined.
Comfort.
You know,
there you go.
Where they're challenged, yet they walk away saying they love me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I mean, he's only about 3, so I have very little experience here. We're learning every day, and I'm watching my husband do certain things, and we were laughing last night because I took a video and I was like, Parenting 101 with Bobby McLean. He's sitting there with like an RC car, pushing it around. Charlie's just chasing it around the driveway. And I'm like, I'm literally out here like sweating all the time. You're chilling and relaxing. But it's so funny. Like, that's a funny example. But just like even on the disciplinary side, like when Charlie, I don't know, does something and how Bobby reacts to them, but how Charlie just still loves him so much. Do you know what I mean? And for me, I'm like, oh, I just want to love him and hold him and comfort him. And it's just a really beautiful pairing to watch that happen, because I do feel like what you're saying, like Bobby does call greatness and strength out of him, but he also knows that I'm always there as his comforter. But as a mom, I feel like I do have to be careful to not fall too deep into that, because I can see myself doing that. Like if he's bleeding, it is like, it breaks me, and like I'll be thinking about it all night, and my husband's like, he's okay. But for me, it's really hard. Like, gosh, I want to protect him and put him in this bubble, and I know that that's not right and healthy for him, but it's really hard. It's hard to walk that out, because they're everything to you.
Moses' mom put him in a little basket, but she also had to put him out there, and so you know, prayer's kind of like that. That basket with pitch to keep the water. Lord, I'm going to insulate him with prayer, and trust you that you see him when I can't, and you know his future when I don't, and a strong woman of prayer is a woman who can lean on the Lord. But don't create a neurotic child by being afraid of the world and being super upset when disappointments happen. And even becoming a Karen on behalf of your child, you know, that says, what did you say to my baby? It's no. You know what? Disappointments happen. Someone didn't invite you to a party. Tough noogies. What else can we do? You sound just like Bobby. We ran into this, and it was a party specific. We went to a 4-year-old birthday party a couple weekends ago, and Charlie wanted nothing more than to play with the kids. And they're a little bit older because he's only 3. And they didn't want to play with him. They were chasing him with Nerf guns, calling him the bad guy. And he was saying, me no bad guy, me Charlie. I'm ready to knock out a 4-year-old. I have become Karen, because like, how dare you? Like, how dare you not play with my child, you tiny turd? Like, it's crazy how quick that can just like rise up in you. And my husband's like, so do you just want to not send him to school? Because people are probably going to be mean to him, and he's not going to get invited to everything. And I was like, so like opportunities like that, they're opportunities to learn, oh gosh, I didn't prep him for this. So, you know, now before the next party, you pelt him with Nerf guns.
That's a great idea. I'm for sure going to do that.
For real. Like
Bobby, I hope that you're not listening to this episode.
No, pelt him. Just put a helmet on. But we have to prepare our children with game day scenarios to the best of our ability. To say, hey, you might you might find yourself in this situation. Let's practice it here in the safety, in the spirit of play within our home. That way, when you go there, you might be prepared for that situation.
Yeah.
But it is heartbreaking.
It was.
And that means you love them. But don't become secondhand victimized. And that's what happens to us parents a lot. We suffer just as much as the kiddo.
Right. Yeah, I just wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't. I'm going to know better next time, though. We're going to take a quick break, okay? So hang out with us. Stephanie is going to be back with a What the Hack segment. I know that you all love those, and we'll be right back with more from Dr. Brooks Gibbs.
I know Stephanie.
You do? You're so cool.
We want to connect with you. Make sure to visit our website, momentsformoms.tv, for the latest episodes of the show, guest information, resources, and so much more. Visit momentsformoms.tv today.
The Hack. The City.
Hey guys, Stephanie from What the Hack. Food prices are crazy, so I'm trying to share some frugal, yummy recipes for you. I'm part of the hospitality team at my church, and I'm taking a meal to somebody who had knee surgery today. So I thought I would show you the roast that I make in the crock pot. It's delicious, it's reasonable, and you're gonna love it. So let me show you how to make it. Okay, let me show you how super simple this recipe is. I have my crock pot. I'm just gonna, I use these liners only because I don't like doing dishes anymore, but not necessary. Definitely not necessary. I'm just gonna spray the liner. I have this beautiful chuck roast that I'm gonna put in there, nice and marbled because there's flavor in the marbling. It's a boneless chuck roast. I'm gonna put that right in there. And then I've cut up a medium onion and a couple of potatoes. I'm gonna put those right in there. This is one of the simplest meals, but your house is gonna smell great, and you are gonna be so happy that your dinner's gonna be all done for you. And it only takes a few minutes of prep time in the morning, which I love. So I'm gonna put a few carrots in here. Now you could put if you're a fan of green peppers, you could put those in here, but I am not, and I know you're thinking, well, this meal isn't for you. I can't even stand the smell of green peppers, so I'm not putting them in here. And then I have some French onion soup mix, which adds so much flavor on top of the other onion. Then I have some brown gravy mix that I'm going to put in there right on top here. And then I'm simply going to put salt, pepper, and garlic salt. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and I'm doing this from home, you guys. So, and I have 2 dogs, so if you hear barking in the background, I'm just going to go with it because I only have one meal to prepare. So, but I think they're going to be good. And then garlic salt. And then over the top of this, I am going to pour some beef broth right over the top. Just enough to get in there, and this is probably a half a box right here. Let's see if that's enough. If it's not, I have a little bit more in the back. I think that's going to be enough. And then I'm simply going to put the lid on, and I'm going to let it cook low and slow for about 7 hours. And it's going to be the best tasting piece of meat. So I'll be back in 7 hours, and I will show you the results. Okay, here we are about 7 hours later. The roast cooked all day, low and slow in the crock pot, and I want to show you the deliciousness that came from it. Oh, it is fork tender. It's just falling apart. So I'll take this to my friend from church who had the knee surgery. I'm also taking some bread, and I made some banana muffins. So, you know, it just feels so good to be on the hospitality team at church and to do for others. And if you're having a hard time, do something for someone else. I promise you it'll make you feel great. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.
The Hack. The City.
Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us here. I am here with Dr. Brooks Gibbs. You recognize him from his mental health moments, but he is here live and in person. welcome,
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you for being here.
And it's a great topic of resilience, raising strong kids. I was very emotionally weak as a child.
Okay.
You know, my dad left when I was 3. My sister was 5. My very first memory was actually my mom and dad fighting, and he had slipped and fell in the bathroom, hit his head, and he had blood coming down it. I asked just my mom a couple weeks ago what age I was, and she says, I think you were like 2.5.
Wow.
And I had that memory. I was actually in a playpen, I remember. And then my very next memory is my dad packing his Cadillac car and driving out of our lives. And, you know, God is faithful. All things work out, you know, for the good. And my dad was the best man in my wedding, and I'm very good friends with him. I helped lead him to the Lord, and we have a great relationship now. But I had some really powerful vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
And as I work with kids, I try to say, how can we target the areas of vulnerabilities so that they don't needlessly suffer? One of my favorite words to put before suffer is needless, because some suffering is inevitable.
Sure.
The sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory that will be revealed in us, as Scripture says, or in this life you will have trouble. But the needless suffering is this suffering that we do to ourselves. We victimize ourselves. And there's 2 related to self, there's 2 related to others, and there's 2 related to life. And this is from Dr. Albert Ellis years ago. He discovered 70 years of therapy that when people feel inadequate, I'm not enough, insecure, it's because they are upset with their lack of performance.
Yeah.
They say, I must perform perfectly well.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that they deal with is not getting approval from important people. And those 2 things are so powerful. They drive the neurotic tendencies of an individual. So perfectionism and approval addiction are what a parent needs to spot early on.
Yeah.
And so, for example, when my little Jay was growing up and I realized he had a little OCD streak, he liked things just so. He was very clean, very orderly, and he didn't like things messed up. And I realized I have to rage against that, you know, delicately in sort of in modern kind of, I forget what the word is, but in incremental stages, there's the term. So I would tuck him in bed at night when he was 4 or 5, and I would say, hey, I'm going to pull your bed away from the wall a little bit because it's not going to touch like the other side. And I'm going to take your little Legos, I'm going to break them, and I'm going to put them right here on the edge where they might fall off. And they better stay that way when I wake you up in the morning. All right? Dad, you have to do that, please? I said, I have to do it. It's called exposure prevention response therapy. So we have to say yes to the mess. You know, that's one thing. The other thing is approval. You know, my 9-year-old learned that if someone rejects me and I have a good attitude, Dad's going to get me $1. And if someone rejects me and I have a good attitude and I can turn that enemy into a friend, Dad's going to give me $5. So whenever you're rejected or excluded or avoided or someone's mean to you, or whenever, if they have a orderliness trait, whenever they can be good enough and not strive for perfection, I reward resilience. And it's been very helpful with kids, Why do you look so guilty? What's your deal?
It's me. And it's Charlie. Like, I mean, I'm like, I could not, I can't sleep unless our like throw pillows on the couch or like exactly. Yeah.
Well, it can be hereditary. It can be a learned behavior.
Yeah.
But
he's very orderly with his toys. We clean up the playroom every night.
Right. On one hand, that's a virtue, but when does it become a vice?
I don't know.
When you don't get what you want and you freak out. So that's why you have to test it. You gotta make it disorderly and say, look, I'm very proud of you. I developed a thing called Gritcoin. And Gritcoin's like Bitcoin. The older kids really like it. So it's a non-fungible token. You can trade in the points for something practical. You know, so they can earn 1 Gritcoin. And it's basically any time that you have a disappointment, something you don't like, related to perfectionism or approval, and you have a good attitude with it. The other thing is fairness and frustration. Those are the 2 things towards other people.
Right.
You must be fair and you must not block my goals or you deserve punishment. And this is where our retaliatory nature really rears its ugly head when we believe something is unfair. And so I try to set up my children for success when I'd say, look, you're not God. And other people have rules that they play by and you have rules that you play by. So if something seems unfair, Fair is like the F word in my family. My kids are not allowed to say that, because life is not fair, or if there is anything fair in life, it's the fact that it's unfair for everyone. So I really rage against, and when I say rage, I mean, it is the enemy that could destroy my child's happiness, right? It's the enemy. My child's not the enemy.
Right.
It's the neurotic thinking that there must be a fair, issue. And that's not good. And then frustration, blocked goals. When they were going in one direction and someone didn't help, but they actually hurt, and they have to find another way to move around that person. The final two is comfort seeking. Life must be comfortable and turn out how I envision, which is idealism.
Yeah.
If you can focus on those six, and by the way, the last two being comfort and idealism, life's not comfortable, so you need to give your kid chores.
Right.
I know and you cannot get rewarded and relax until you do this certain amount of chores. I want you to learn to appreciate accomplishment through hard times. And then idealism, the day didn't turn out the way we planned. I can't control the weather.
Right.
I didn't know your friend would get sick and cancel the hangout time, the play date. But hey, what else can we do?
Yeah, that's good.
And adjust to those things.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love those. I'm going to make sure to put a list on the website so people can kind of go back and look through that. Because I think for me also, Charlie's almost 3, but I already see that. Do you know what I mean? Before becoming a parent, those are things that you're talking about that I wouldn't think would apply until maybe they're in kindergarten or in school, but that's not the case. I think that these are things that they can learn now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And they want to play and you say, I'm going to have you sit here. You're not in timeout. You're not in trouble. We're just going to wait 2 minutes and then you can go play with the kids. So it's basically raising their frustration tolerance. I have a bunch of, I sold out of my card game, but I had all these games where I would say, have your sister chew something noisy for 30 seconds in your ear and you keep the smile or you cannot get dessert. It's trying to expand their frustration tolerance and lower the importance of offenses. When you do those two things, you raise their frustration tolerance, or I can endure it, and you lower their expectations of how life must be, you create what I would call resilience margin, the ability to be flexible.
That's so good.
Now, what's really cool is when you study the Matthew version of Satan tempting Jesus in the wilderness, it's all 6 of those things.
Wow.
So what Dr. Albert Ellis discovered as a secular psychologist, Satan knew that our nature is to want things to be perfect and to perform perfectly well and get approval. I'll just mention the first 2. If you are the Son of God, if you are who you say you are, turn this stone into bread. And what he was baiting was approval. If you really want me to believe that you are who you are, say you are, then prove it, perform for me, do this thing. And, Jesus didn't fall for the trap. He said, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of the Father.
Yeah.
And who we tell our children they are, or who God says they are,
Yeah.
that will help them be less susceptible to seeking approval from others and performing to seek approval, which is a lifetime of really of sadness and heartbreak.
Yes. And I can just so relate to that on a personal level because growing this is just mind-boggling for me, just so you know. It's making me want to go home and write all this down and do this right now because my childhood, I was the dancer and the singer and the cheerleader and always on the stage, always on light. So I thought I have to always do that or I'm not good enough.
Inadequacy.
Always performing, always trying to get all the A's, moving to Nashville, trying to be a singer, failing, whoa. But if I could have had that, do you know what I mean? How different it could have been for me. How much hurt and bitterness and just all of those feelings that I've carried for so many years until I really understood, listen, God didn't create me to be a country music singer. Not that that's bad. I wanted that for a long time, but that's not who he called me to be.
Right. That's that idealism. Life must turn out how I envision.
Yeah.
And when you combine life must turn out how I envision with I must perform perfectly well and receive approval, you've got a self issue and a life issue, and that's suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
That's when it comes in, when you realize, gosh, it's better if I'm dead because I can't seem to do exactly what I want to do, and life is so unbearable. I'm inadequate and life is unbearable. And the other one is you deserve punishment. That's self and others. That's homicidal ideation or real vindictiveness towards other people. So it's human nature. And the coolest thing that Satan, I mean, he's old. So when it came time to tempt Jesus in the wilderness, he had thousands of years to think about what he would say. So you really got to go back to that passage and say, golly, are these the roots to all temptations? Because Jesus was tempted in all ways, but we don't see him tempted in all ways. Could this be the roots to all temptations? I would say it is.
That's so good. I'm so excited that you're sharing this with our audience because I know we have a lot of young moms. And I know I've had this conversation with a lot of moms too, like that have kind of dealt with the same thing. And a lot of us just don't know. I don't know. I didn't know better. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know that these were so important. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for you for sharing this. You have so much wisdom. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being like a co-host.
I'm basically, I'm the head co-host now, I think. Yeah, just for this episode. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, for any episode, anytime you're here, please come be the co-host. Thank you so much for being
meekness.
Here. Hey.
All right.
I'm here for it because we love having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hey guys, stick with us. We have a little bit more of this show. Thank you again so much for joining us. You can find all of Dr. Brooks' information on our website, and we will see you next time.
Moments for Moms is more than just a show. It is a community of moms encouraging each other on this incredible journey we have been called to. Join our private Facebook group to share your mom moments, questions, small victories, and connect with other moms as we all come together in this ministry called motherhood. We can't wait to see you there.
What do we make?
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise. It's a surprise.
No, you can't tell them.
I can't tell them what we made. Do you remember what they're called?
No.
Let's show them how messy our hands are.
No.
I'm going to show them how messy my hand is. Say they're protein balls.
It's called surprise.
It's called a surprise. So,
Mom, don't tell
I'm not
them.
going to tell them. I won't tell them. I'm just going to keep rolling up. Do you want to do another one? Okay, here. They're very messy. But y'all, these are so good. And all it is peanut butter, honey, rolled oats, some salt.
No, you can't.
I'm not going to tell them what it is. I won't tell them the name of it. And you just kind of like melt the peanut butter and honey. And then you add the other ingredients. Sure, dude. Just eat it. We might not have any left when we're done. But that's all you do. You just add the other ingredients in it. And for me, this is a small victory because
Mom, don't tell them.
I'm not going to tell them what it is. I won't tell you that they're protein balls and that they're a healthy snack because I don't know about y'all, but if you have a toddler, snacking is our game.